Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to the first episode of Beast and Booze. So, I've been wanting to do this series for a really long time. I wanted to do something with cryptids and monsters, and this title of Beast and Booze came to be from a friend of mine, and I was like, oh my God, I love that. And so, here we kind of are. And the reason that Ivan is back to do this series with me is because of what he does on his side of his content. There was literally not a better person to do this series with. Literally not. So, do you want to reintroduce yourself, Ivan?
Yeah, sure. So, hello, my name is Ivan, as you all know now. And I'm a writer and author of horror stories and also a series called Gallivant of the Grotesque, where I go over history and lore that's all based on in horror. So that's why she has the opinions that she has of me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we essentially, the point of it is we took turns picking out beasties to discuss, and we're going to talk about them, break them down. We're essentially going to be teaching each other about them, and we're going to have a drink while we do it and talk about, all things regarding whichever our, topic is for that one. And so I haven't picked the one for the first episode. So so we're going to jump into the first episode of Beast and Booze. Oh, and I wanted to give a shout out to my friend Lucy, who did our incredible logo just in the nick of time. It's so cute. It turned out so good.
It is great. It is really fantastic.
Yeah, it turned out so cute. I love him so much. And if you are new here and you're not aware, so our logo is a Wendigo because Angel is mildly obsessed with Wendigos. So, Anyway, so teach me and everybody else about your pick for today.
Yes. So my pick is on the northeastern cryptid called the Spector moose of Maine. And even though Maine is in the name, it has been cited in various other states in the Northeast. But mostly in Maine. It's mostly known for that state. But it has been cited in Massachusetts and in upstate New York, mostly by deer hunters
Sure.
In the area, appropriately. And sightings go back to 1891. Was the first sighting of the Spector moose. It is a very large moose,
Yeah.
larger than a normal moose, which we'll go over during our little quiz time because I want to see if you can guess some numbers for me.
Okay.
But we'll get there. It is known to vanish out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's also known to be able to walk through solid objects. Hunters have seen it do that. Hunters have seen it disappear. They've also seen glowing. They've seen that their fur coats glow.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any. It haven't been like reports of the Spectre moose outright hurting people, but it is apparently aggressive. It does charge. It does chase people. There was one account. Can't remember how far back, but I believe it was one of the 1800s sightings, where one hunter was chased by the Spectre moose into a cave, and it kept them there for over an hour before it decided to go away. And every time it gets shot, it gets angered. So that's what pretty much makes it charge at people. It's kind of weird that it defends itself despite the fact that it's kind of a ghost, I guess.
Right? Spector,
Um,
yeah.
but shooting it doesn't phase it at all. It just angers it. There's uh, no death whatsoever for that animal. It just pisses it off.
Yeah.
So don't shoot a large white moose. It's a very bad idea.
It's
Yeah.
gonna make it for a tough situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It'll ruin your day.
Yeah.
Uh, but in terms of it vanishing, like in 1938, there was a hunter who was watching a herd of moose.
Okay.
Noticed one of the moose uh, was larger than the other moose. This plural of moose, it really gets me. Okay,
Meese.
the plural of moose is moose. I always think back I think it was a Brian Regan
Uh-huh.
comedian. He has this whole thing about the plural of moose and how he was learning it growing up, and he never understood it. And it's really good. If you ever, when you get the chance to look up Brian Regan Moosehead,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
really funny.
He's
Anyway,
funny in general, so I
oh
know I
yeah,
don't have a
he's great. Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I don't yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
moose. Mooses.
Yeah,
Mises.
yeah. I digress. And speaking of digress, this is an Irish coffee. If we're gonna, for the booze portion of it,
Yum.
yeah, it's a little bit strong.
That's yeah, that just makes it more interesting, right? In
Oh
theory.
yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So in 1938, a hunter was out, and he was when he was hunting, saw a herd of moose, and one of them was bigger than the other moose,
Yeah.
which he thought was abnormal.
Sure.
And he turned his back for a second, and then when he turned back around, the large moose was gone. It had vanished, which wasn't very possible,
Sure.
being the size that it was, that he couldn't see it
He
anyway.
wouldn't be like not like he just overlooked it, right?
Yeah, he didn't just overlook it. It was
Yeah.
legitimately gone.
Yeah.
Uh, some of these sightings are interesting, but I think like the one that is my favorite account of the specter moose is a group of hunters um, in I can't remember if it was Massachusetts or if it was in Maine, but
Hmm.
a group had shot and killed a deer,
Okay.
or a moose. I'm sorry. No offense. It's,
Automatically go to deer.
we get a whole bunch of hate mail from deer now.
Why was it a deer? It's not supposed to be a deer.
Why has it got to be a deer? But they shot and killed a moose, and then they slit its throat, and they hung it up from a tree.
Okay.
So they leave it there overnight, and the next day they were going to skin and dress it.
Yeah.
Well, they woke up the next morning, and the moose was gone, and which was obviously kind of weird. I mean, no one's going to steal a moose. But
Yeah.
yeah, later on in the day, the moose was reported to have been taking a walk through their camp with its throat still cut. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure that's the face they made too.
You know what? That's what they get for hunting animals.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they hunt you
I
down.
hope they're traumatized.
Well, they tried to shoot it again.
Oh Lord.
Because I mean that's what you do when you're afraid of something, you shoot it. But
Does seem to be a logic that a lot of people follow, unfortunately. Yeah.
I guess when you're hunting, it kind of makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. Uh,
Sure.
so they shot it, and it didn't do anything. It was the moose was completely unfazed by the gunshot, and it just strolled away. Uh, Later on in the day, it was reported that it was seen again, not going through the camp, but wandering about uh, 90 miles north in another town.
The same day? Did you say the same day?
In the same day.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's kind of normal for the specter moose to to vanish, to be in a place that's
End up somewhere
so
else.
far away, you know, in the same day. Uh, it's kind of cool, actually. I want to go to Maine, and I want to see if I can see the specter moose.
See the Spectre. I had not. So this was when we went over our list. I hadn't heard of any of the ones.
Hmm.
Spoiler alert for that you decided that you wanted to do. But this one, like the name, really surprised me. I was like,
It's weird, right?
it is weird. I'd never heard of this before.
And and before I started doing a lot of research on cryptids and such, like for Gallivant of the Grotesque, uh,
Yeah.
I haven't heard of this either. Um,
Okay.
and it turned, and when I did some digging for this, I wanted to look up where in pop culture the Spectre Moose has come up, if anywhere. You know,
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah.
the only thing that I could find that was truly consistent was in the video game Red Dead Redemption 2. There's a Spectre Moose in that, and
Oh my
that's like all I can
God.
find. So
Oh my God. I was
yeah,
expecting you to say that you couldn't find anything. That's
I
so
found one thing,
random.
which is one more than I thought I was going to find. So I guess it was a successful search.
Yeah, because typically when you're talking about like cryptid lore, there's some like you hear about the big ones, Loch Ness, Bigfoot. There's some common ones that you hear a lot about, and this is not one I've ever heard anybody talk about. So the fact that it's in a video game is really funny.
Yeah, it's surprising how many cryptids, how many legends are out there that nobody's ever heard about. You know,
Yeah.
and it's it doesn't seem to leave stray too far from its origin location. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing, and
Yeah.
it's huge with the locals over there. You know, the locals truly believe that this specter moose is real. You know, obviously, I'm not speaking for every local
No, I know what you mean though. It's something
you
that
know,
they've yeah,
you
yeah.
being well, both of us having living in the South. You know,
Yeah.
we hear about things like the skunk ape all the time. You know,
Oh,
and
sure.
you know, there's a lot of people who believe that that's real. You know, uh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Cool.
in actually my latest episode for Gallivant the Grotesque was on hominids,
Oh, okay.
and I mentioned the skunk ape in it, and so many people believed in the skunk ape in the 70s in Florida that the legislation tried to pass a law that was banning the let me see if I get this right because this like fucked me up. It bans the taking possession and molestation of anthropoids and hominids. Yeah, you heard the last one right, and that was my reaction too. I was like, so what's molestation doing in that? Why? What happened?
Yeah.
What happened to warrant having to tell people by law that you can't molest a, a legend or like
Yeah.
a creature that we can't even prove the existence of? Uh, it didn't pass. I mean,
Well, now I'm like worried. Like it
needless to
should.
say, it didn't pass. Uh, but that like since then, that's when people started going nuts over trying to prove the skunk ape's existence. So,
Yeah.
but that's something that is an example of lore surrounding cryptids and all that doesn't leave a region, doesn't go too far outside
Kind
of
of
a region.
stays.
It's the same thing with the specter. It's like I'm sure a lot of people outside of the Northeast have never heard of this thing, and
Yeah.
but in the Northeast, it's quite common.
Yeah.
Yeah, but often gets confused uh, with two things. One, an albino moose because of its white fur.
Is that this one?
So yes, then
Okay.
it gets confused with that,
I mean, that looks like a specter.
doesn't it? I mean, like like
Yeah.
moose on their own are terrifying because of their size.
They're
Uh,
big. Yeah.
huge. You know,
Yeah, they're
you
big.
see videos of moose in their in their natural habitat. You don't see them really like next to things, so you don't get to see how
There's no
big they are.
size reference.
Right, there's no
Yeah.
reference for that. And then you
Yeah.
see a video of them next to like a car or something, and you're
I'm
like,
like, oh
oh my
shit.
god.
They are big.
You know, they're just why. does that need to be?
Indeed.
I just wonder why. Uh, but often the albinos will get um, confused, or people will assume that's a specter moose. And I assume that an albino moose is a very rare sight. Uh,
Sure.
but the difference between the albino moose and the specter moose is in the eyes, where the
Okay.
albino, characteristically with albino animals and people, uh, they're like a pinkish hue to
Yeah.
their eyes,
Right.
whereas the specter moose has regular brown eyes as a normal moose would have.
Ah,
Yeah, so that's one of the physical characteristics that
it's different.
differs between normal
Hmm.
moose and specter moose.
Okay.
They also get confused with a specific species of moose called the piebald. Uh, there's that beautiful face.
Looks like a Dalmatian. What a beautiful face.
It looks like a collapsed souffle. Uh,
It does have a very strange face. I'm inclined to agree.
it does. It does. So the piebald is mostly white, as the picture shows. It's very spotty. There's like black spots all over it. Some of them are bigger than others. Sometimes their coat will resemble something like a black and white cow.
Yeah, with the
And
spots, I can see
yeah,
that.
with that kind of pattern, like huge big patterns.
Yeah.
But like the picture that you posted, it's mostly white.
Yeah.
So that often will get confused with the spectre moose.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, it's oh my god, this thing is cool. And as far as any as sightings go, the thing is
Yeah.
just as strong, if not stronger, uh, than a normal moose because of its sheer size is it's about 4 to it's about 4-ish feet, 4+ feet taller than a
Than a
normal
regular moose.
than a regular moose.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we're actually. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I want to go over some comparisons with you
Okay.
between normal moose and the spectre moose,
Okay.
and I'm going to give you a stat of the normal moose.
Okay.
I want you to give me what you think the spectre moose comes in at in comparison.
Okay.
All right. We're going to do four statistics here.
Okay.
So first, we're going to start off with the height, which we already went over. So a normal
I'm definitely
is
getting this one
about
right.
yeah. So I got you a freebie.
You'll know for sure if I've been listening.
I didn't give you actual numbers, so I gave you
Sure.
a difference. So I don't know math and shit, but the normal moose is about around 6 feet tall.
Are they
And these are
really?
statistics as of like in 1895 when the spectre moose was having um, an influx of sightings.
Yeah.
A normal moose back then was about 6 feet tall. So the
Yeah.
spectre moose would come in at, and you can give me a range.
10 to 11,
You're close.
12,
10 to 15 feet tall,
10 to 15.
which is
Jeez.
enormous. Uh, and that right? I mean, that's my apartment has 9-foot ceilings, and
I
and
can't
I'm
even
trying to think
process.
of
Yeah. And I'm
how
sitting here.
as a reference, there are a lot of ceilings in most people's apartments that are 9 feet,
Mhm.
and the moose will stand taller than that.
Yeah,
That's
I can't.
insane.
Well, and I'm sitting here thinking like you're talking about the guy that got like cornered in a cave. I'm like, no way am I shooting at something that big.
Right.
I would
And
never.
I
I'd be
wouldn't leave
like,
the
nope,
cave either.
whatever. I'd
Yeah,
be out.
if that thing chased me to a cave, I wouldn't leave either.
Yeah, I would just stay. I'd probably die in the cave. I'd never. I'd be too scared to leave.
Not even poke your head out to check if it's gone.
Nope, not worth it.
Nope. Uh, and we're which with height comes weight.
Yeah,
So
of course.
you think of something that's this big, and a moose that's around 6 feet tall weighs in at about 800 to 900 pounds. So,
Dang.
Angel,
How much do I think a specter moose would come in? Or a
how?
range, I guess.
Yeah, in a range, how? Or actually, it is one number.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, try to get me like close
Who
to
is
maybe
weighing a specter moose?
I
Like,
don't know. I don't know. I got this. I
these are
got
the
the
moose
stat,
scientists.
and
They're like, we know the answers.
these are the cryptid moose scientists. Like one guy was walking around the forest with a scale and somehow got a specter moose to walk on it.
It's like, can you just stand here for a second? I won't shoot at you. I
No,
just
that guy's gone. I mean,
he's
that guy went missing, and all that was left was a scale with a number on it. So that's what
they
we took
found
from
his research like they do in the video games. It's just like a
it.
left behind
Exactly.
and a okay. So if an average moose is what you said, 800 or 900 pounds, is that what you
Yes,
said?
800 to 900 pounds, a 6 foot tall moose. So then a 10 to 15 foot tall moose,
18 to 2.
you're low.
What? Okay, 25.
2,500 pounds.
Damn. Okay,
Yeah,
I got second guess. That's
that's
insane.
over
I
a ton.
can't.
That's over a ton.
I cannot even process an animal that big. Like that's like
Yeah,
dinosaur size. That's
that's,
huge.
I can't fathom a land mammal that big.
No.
You know, or
Things from the
really.
ocean, yes.
Yeah,
But
I mean, an elephant's a land mammal, I guess. Not,
oh,
I guess.
sure.
It's like it's fact, but
Right.
but
Yeah.
you see that in pachyderms, like you see that in elephants and and rhinos. Seeing that in the in moose, deer, and all those other species. I can't remember the name of the family off the top of my head, but uh,
Yeah.
2,500 pounds, 10 to 15 feet tall, is absolutely massive. It's unreal. Yeah, and to think of that charging at you,
Hell no. I couldn't even
hell
handle
no,
a regular one.
right?
I would be
I
yeah.
don't want that charging at me. That's a lot of weight coming my way, and
Yeah.
that's about. What's the average weight of a car? I can't remember what the average weight of a car is, but I do believe it's less than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're getting hit by a flesh car. A pair of words for
Flesh car.
you.
Not to mention, and you're talking about weight and then height. That also means that the crown is
Oh,
also
the next two
is that
statistics
is
are
that where we're
about
going?
its
Okay, okay,
antlers. Oh yeah,
okay,
oh yeah.
okay.
If you thought that its stature alone was scary, uh,
Oh god.
we're gonna go into its antlers. Those are the last two statistics that we're gonna look at.
Okay.
Um, so first is the antler span, which is just the across the measurement across.
Yep.
From the fur,
Side to the other.
furthest
Yep.
points,
Yeah.
right? Uh, for a normal moose is about 4 to 6 feet. So you're still talking in a normal moose. The span is about the size of a person's height, a human's height. Uh,
Mhm.
so for a specter moose, this one is a range,
A range.
a range of feet. Yeah,
Okay. 18 to 20 feet.
I like where you're going, and I understand,
But is that too high?
but it is too high.
See, I was trying to go in like what I'd been going. Okay. Okay. So four
No,
to
given the
six,
pattern, I get it.
12 to 15.
You're a little bit high, but you're right on the cusp of the
10 to
uh,
12.
it's 10 to 12. Yes.
See, we got
Yep. So 10 to 12 feet, which is still
there. Shit.
good lord, is still huge, is the antler span of the
Good
specter.
grief.
Yeah, that's 2 6 foot tall humans,
Human beings.
you know, lying. Uh, just wow. I have no words. I'm still kind of like holy crap about this, uh, despite the fact that I've already taken these notes. It's the sheer size of this thing is incredible. And with your antlers, you have the antler points. So each little end of the antler,
Yeah.
um, on a normal moose, they have about 8 to 12. Uh,
Points.
yeah, they have about 8 to 12 points on their antlers. The statistic that is here for that I found for the antler points on spectrum moose is according to a hunter that has reported to have seen one.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think that is?
12. What'd you say?
8 to 12 points on a
8 to
normal
12.
moose. Hmm. And this one's like one number because for some reason the hunter decided to stop and count them. I
This is why this is how they end up cornered in caves.
Yeah, so
Oh
I'm
my
gonna put a
God.
little disclaimer on like all of these numbers, and these are uh, most likely estimates based on whatever somebody can guess
Yeah.
as they are encountering
Hopefully
this
running for their
animal.
life
I'm not exactly sure how they could run for their lives and start counting the
and count.
points on the antlers or trying to guesstimate their antler span, height, weight, all of that. I wouldn't stick around long enough to figure it out, but
God,
apparently
me
these people
neither.
do.
I'm going to guess it's 8 to 12 on a normal. I'm going to say 18,
Nope,
22.
22.
How am I getting it like
Yeah,
after the first guess?
you're you good. You're doing really well. You are. I'm what
Ah,
that
yay.
sounded like I was patronizing you. I swear I'm not.
No, I didn't take it that way. Yeah, so yeah, because so just as a reminder, like these are like classes, right? Because I don't know anything about this one. This is literally everything I'm hearing for the first time. I didn't research this one. I didn't look it up. It was solely just, you kind of guiding the conversation and telling me the things that you knew and learned about it. So yeah,
Yeah,
22. Oh
22.
no.
So it's if it gets you, it can stab you quite a few times in
People
one
are
blow.
shooting at this thing. What
People
a
are
crazy.
shooting at it.
That's psycho. Like that thing is that's a monster. That's huge.
Yeah, you don't shoot at things like this. Things like this don't feel bullets. They don't feel pain. I don't think. Uh, I wouldn't screw with it.
No,
Absolutely not. I would leave it alone.
hell no.
No, I'm going
Yeah,
to a different location to hunt.
yeah.
Not this one. And if and is so all of those put together makes a massive and pretty frightening animal.
Yeah.
Um, there's one more theory about this animal that I'm going to bring up,
Okay.
um, and that is that it is also theorized. It is thought to have the same ability or same effect as the Mothman, which is when it shows up, chaos ensues.
It's a harbinger.
It's a harbinger. Thank you. God, I couldn't think of the word for a minute. I drank too fast. I
I'm
is
having a
writer.
good vocabulary day.
uh, you would think a writer wouldn't have such a loss for words. But yes, it is a harbinger. What got people thinking about that was the fact that there was a small town that saw the specter moose.
Mhm.
Shortly after that, the restaurant in that small town burnt down. Uh,
Okay.
so that got everybody thinking, "Oh, holy crap!
Oh no.
Yeah, this is a bringer of chaos." Uh, how uh, how recently do you think that happened?
The restaurant?
Yeah,
See if I can get a good guess on this one. 2017.
no.
It's
But
not that recent.
I was expecting you to not be into 2000s actually, being that we've
Well,
been in
I
the
figured you were
1800s for
saying
most
it
of the
because it
time.
was either a
Yeah,
billion years ago or it was like recent.
I'm gonna say fairly recent, but I'm old, so this is still a long time ago for me. So, uh, 2002,
Okay. Wow.
as recent as 2002,
Yeah.
we there's been cases of the specter moose being sighted, and in 2002 is when this particular town
Yeah.
sighted the moose, and then a restaurant burned down. So adding the harbinger aspect
To the lore.
to the lore. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, man. I kind of dig this one.
Like I said, never heard of this. So this is crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to put in this from such little information, and because there isn't a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
You go to
Yeah.
website to website, and you're going to get a lot of the same. Uh,
Right.
However, the picture that you can paint from from the information that you get, especially with this particular cryptid,
Hmm.
is is incredible. Because I guarantee that the sightings have been different from person to person,
Yeah.
as sightings typically happen, as they
Yep.
typically happen. That's
Yeah. Yep.
just how it goes.
Yep.
But anybody who hears about the spectrum moose and hears these numbers that we threw out uh, has most people will build some kind of image in their mind
Yeah.
of what this thing looks like, and that's the thing that I love about lore. And people will people will paint their own picture,
Yeah.
and that will give way to their sightings from then on out. Whatever they
Yep.
see is going to adhere to what they painted, and whether or not the sighting is legitimate, it's not going to matter from that point on.
Yeah.
Uh, what they saw is what they saw.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
mind is a funky place,
Yeah.
and it's gonna dick with you. And I think that's the biggest thing that drives our legends. For me, it's a beautiful thing. I think it's
It's
fascinating.
really cool. It's like a a slightly more complicated version of telephone,
Yeah,
but it's like through visuals like sightings or even like word of mouth sharing stories and people telling other people, and then that impacts their experiences and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's one of the reasons lore in general is so fascinating, but particularly when you're putting that to creatures that are not of I mean, obviously with this being a moose there is an element there that's at least of an animal, but when you're talking about the size of this and what it actually looks like and how massive it would be, that takes it out of like the normal animal and puts it into creature monster mode, as it were. So yeah, it's really fascinating. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you bring up a really good point about things like this being rooted uh, in real animals.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a lot of these real to people. They
Yeah.
have that point of reference that they can hang on to.
Yeah, that makes it feel less far-fetched.
Yeah,
It's much easier to believe in.
yeah, yeah, and we see that a lot in movies and all that as well. When people are creating monsters,
Yeah.
they have that basis. They have that basis in
Hmm.
reality, that basis in in real biology, and that's what makes these things real. You
Yeah.
know, I tend to go into explaining like Alien and all that. So like the xenomorphs and Alien are based on their behaviors are based on insects, and you know,
Yep.
and their jaws are based on moray eels, uh, and those things being rooted in something that we can actually see in real life makes those things real. It's no different with this, you know. It's no
Yeah.
different with
Yeah. It makes it scarier too.
it does. It really does. Because then when you see that in real life, you see
You're
the
like,
real life things. You're like, did I just see that? Did I just see the thing?
yeah. No. Yes. Yeah.
So
The
there you go.
Spector Moose of Maine,
The
right?
Spector Moose of Maine. Yeah. Kind of hoping to see one day. And the moment that I get the privilege to run away from one, I will tell the world.
That seems fair.
Once I leave the cave.
Yeah. Once you leave the cave. Well, cool. Well, I think that's about it for our first episode of Beast and Booze. All of Ivan's links are going to be in the description for all the episodes for this series, so you can go follow him and check out his series, Gallivant to the Grotesque. And yeah, so I guess we'll leave it like we won't say what we're doing next. We'll just, you have to come back and see.
Yeah.
We'll be back in like 2 weeks, I think, roughly, with our next episode of Beast and Booze. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend coming up, and we'll see you in the next one.